Hi boys and girls, we're ready for chapter 2 today, and today we are going to start with the word clever. We are going to see that our characters are clever. Clever is an adjective that means good at figuring things out. These characters are clever about how they talk and clever about what they do. You will see that the author built cleverness into the story for us. Clever means good at figuring out things. A lot of you are very clever. So we're going to start chapter 2 today on page 5. Chapter 2. I can just hear one of you smart guys out there saying, "How can you travel into Greek mythology? I thought the book could only travel through time." Let me stop here already. I want to ask myself one question. Who is I? Okay, we have 3 main characters in our story, and those make up the trio. And so far I have heard from Fred and Sam, but the other person who has been speaking is I. Now, on my chart, I added that Joe is I. Okay, Joe is going to be the one telling the story. So keep that in mind. Joe is talking, so he is I, and then we also have Fred and Sam, and they make up the trio. Honestly, I have no idea how we ended up facing the 3-headed dog of the underworld from Greek mythology. Well, I have some idea, but it wasn't really my fault. Okay, it was kind of my fault, but I was only trying to get things back to normal by putting the book back in Uncle Joe's hands. See, my life has been just too strange for words since my Uncle Joe gave me this book for my birthday. I'm sure you've got books for your birthday before, but this book is like no other book before or since. It's a small book, a dark blue book with odd silver writing and symbols on it. It's a time-warping book. And yes, I'll admit it, I have no idea how the book works or how to control it. But I do know it sent Fred, Sam, and me back to the Stone Age, forward to the future, and even into other books. So those were some big clues there. I'm going to stop. Those were some big clues there that let us know more about the book. So now we know what the book looks like. It is dark blue with odd silver writing and symbols on it. It is a time-warping book. It has sent them into the Stone Age, forward to the future, and even into other books. All right, let's keep going. One thing that always stays the same is the green time-traveling mist that comes out of the book. The other thing that once we go somewhere, the only way we can get back is to find the book in that new time or place. Get it? Got it? Good. Like I said, it wasn't my fault. But here's what I think happened. Our whole grade was backstage in the school auditorium 5 minutes before the first performance of our play, The Myth of Power. It was a play about gods and goddesses and mortals and monsters and all that Greek mythology stuff we were studying in school. We had made some great sets of Mount Olympus, the mountain all the gods live on top of, and the underworld, Hades. The music teacher was the director, so most of the play was about how music is the answer for everything. But we helped write a lot of the scenes, so all the gods and goddesses sounded like a bunch of wise guys. We also got to make some excellent thunderbolts to throw around and wrote in a lot of fight scenes for the monsters. Anyway, that's why we were all standing around at school dressed up in bedsheet togas. Fred was a one-eyed cyclops with an eye pinned on his Yankees hat. Sam was Orpheus, wandering around playing his lyre. I was Paris, the good-looking guy who has to decide which goddess is the fairest and give her the golden apple. While we waited, Sam was rereading his book of snappy insults for the millionth time. We had been using all the good ones for the past month and even managed to get a few in the play. Fred was pacing, trying to remember all 2 of his lines, and I think that's when it happened. "Help me out, Joe," said Fred. "David says, 'Hey, you guys, look.' Then do I say, 'We made those thunderbolts?' Or does Charlie say his line first?" "Cyclops Fred," said Sam, "if you had to live by your wits, you'd starve." Fred picked up an aluminum foil covered thunderbolt and bopped Sam on the head with it. I took my script out of my backpack. "Here it is," David says. "Hey, you guys, look," Charlie says, "our thunderbolts." Then your line is, "We made those thunderbolts." I stuffed the script back into my backpack. "Something is preying on your mind, Fred," said Sam, "but don't worry. It will die of starvation." Fred swung his thunderbolt again. Sam ducked. Fred missed. The thunderbolt hit my backpack. Something glowed weirdly for a second inside my backpack. Then my pack started leaking green mist. I saw the house lights go black. I heard the piano playing the beginning of the first musical number. Our Greek myth play was starting, and Fred, Sam, and I were swirling off in a green mist time tornado farther and stranger than we'd ever gone before. Okay, and that is the end of chapter 2. So as you reread, I want you to think about Joe's explanation of how he mistakenly turned the book on and got the kids stuck in the Greek mythology. So as you're rereading, how did that green mist start? That's when the time warp starts to happen. Something hit the book bag that book was in. Okay? And before you reread, I want to talk really quick about the story map that we have started. So next to Joe, I added I, because in the story, he is going to be I. So we're going to hear the name Fred and Sam a lot, and then we're going to have I talking, and that's Joe, part of the 3 boys. Today, on your story map, I want you to think about the problems and events that we have so far. So when you check in tomorrow for chapter 3, I am going to fill in some of the problems and events that we have so far. Remember I said your pages in your book give you a couple of these same pages with the rectangle up top that's blank or the lines at the bottom. So you decide if you want to use the page to keep track. You can continue using the same page 115 that we used yesterday. If you'd like, you can continue and work on the next page to add the details of setting, characters, and then also the problem and events that we have so far. Okay, good luck.